should not use in your poetry are butterfly, star, flower, and rainbow.
Why?
Well, they're
They're
cliches and all that sort of thing.
Oh, a word
So-
cannot be a cliche.
Well,
No, Brian, go ahead.
So anyway, this is just what I explained to the other pentapoets. It's just sort of a poetic calisthenics. Because if you notice, the word, reading down the left-hand of these, you've got
yes,
butterfly,
very
star,
good.
flower, and rainbow.
Good.
I didn't use the words anywhere else in the poem. So that's just sort of,
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, it's needed.
okay, so the real poem is Anna in the Kitchen.
Oh, we want to read it.
Well, you can do that, but we'll have time certainly. Anna in the kitchen. I give up. My sanity is in peril. Anna shouted, wildly waving a wooden spoon. I'm a dab hand at making crepes. I'm unparalleled with roasts and chops. But every time I tried my hand at sauces, do I get the smooth, satiny results I'm after? No, they curdle like ricotta. What evil thing creeps into my kitchen and causes them to go bad? Fie.
Bye, not fee.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
And there are several anagrams in there.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Oh, I say, begging Mr. Haffett's pardon, that's the poet who said you shouldn't use these words. Begging Mr. Haffett's pardon, I think it is utter nonsense to disqualify a word that serves so admirably to describe the poet's soul, to speak of love. Everyone senses the delicacy, the real emotion that is implied. Few people are immune to the lovely insect's beauty, yet Mr. Haffett's would eschew it. Surely it would be unfair to take a bright and shiny word right out of our hands. For my part, I think I'll let well enough alone. Our poets' hands will benefit from every word we can round up and utilize. Right, as if I would arbitrarily strike a word irrevocably from my arsenal. Never. I cherish every bit of language I command. Okay, you're right. I won't use the four-letter ones.
Oh, you're ready. Okay. Dr. Julie Liu, this Sachagawea dollar is a gift of honor of you as our eye physician, our ophthalmologist, our friend, our vision guide, with whom we abide. Sachagawea was an interpreter, negotiator, and guide for the Lewis and Clark expedition to the Pacific Ocean in 1804-05. Her name means birdwoman. She was born among the Shoshone Indians. Enemy Indians captured and sold her to a slave trader who joined himself and Sachagawea with the Lewis and Clark expedition as it passed up the Missouri River. Sachagawea negotiated for route directions, safety, food, and horses with different Indian nations for the expedition as they traversed the Continental Divide to the West Coast and on their return. Your journey and your position as our eye physician has brought you personal and professional challenges and successes similar to those of Sachagawea. She clarified, verified, and translated communications. You clarify your patients' situations with eye exams, interviews, and observations that you interpret to us verbally in written notes and in your phone calls to us. Sachagawea sought travel directions and translated them to the expedition. You provide us with vision, medical advice, orders, and prescriptions as our life travel directions. Sachagawea negotiated a deal for the expedition supplies. You have a zeal to heal us. She arranged for their safe passage. You improve our vision for our safe driving and safe mobility within our home and community. She sought food to sustain their expedition. You provide us with food for thought and medications that sustain our vision, gumption to function. She bartered for horses to carry their expedition supplies and members. You prescribe prescriptions, exercises, treatment, and eyewear that guide us with less danger, less pain, and more gain in performing our life tasks. Sacagawea guided the Lewis and Clark expedition safely through the Continental Divide crevices. You guide us, patients, through life's crevices and valleys that threaten our physical safety and access of information correctly and expediently for our life decisions and directions. You provide us with vision assessments, consultations, and recommendations for our safe life passage. Have and hold this Sacagawea dollar to remind you that we and many more have confidence and trust in your just knowledge and skills as our guide over ground and around our vision-related crevices and precipices. From Mary Tracy and Larry Chamberlain.
I think you should write a poem about Sacagawea. You know, because it sounds like you have a lot of information about her. It could be a great historical note.
In the next to the line, the word just,
Yes.
you use that as a noun, or, I'm not sure.
I'll use
In
it
your
to-
just-
To modify the knowledge.
Then the
so-
comma should come out.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
I
that's,
was accenting trust and just with that comma, but I just jammed it in there.
Mhm.
So,
You've got some fun internal rhymes, zeal to heal,
Yeah,
they're-
function to
they're-
function. These are clever.
But I'm so given with these international students that I work with at their papers, I'm always taking out.
You figured this must be one of them.
Yeah, that's what I thought, maybe I've got one.
Right,
Because I
right,
would
then-
say, for example, she was born among the Shoshone, and you don't need a comma after Shoshone, but she was born a Shoshone, or she was a Shoshone. I don't think you need
Oh, okay.
to add all that extra in there.
Okay.
And there are another, I can go through this and mail it to you if you.
Oh, that's
It should be
nice.
a
Well,
a
it's-
lot
it's-
shorter, but, because there are ways,
It does need to be short.
Yeah, where things-
It's too long.
yeah, because it can get a bit tedious if it goes too long, so I'm given to
Good.
shortening things
Good.
down.
I like short.
in place of oral comments, I prepared a written thing to pass out to everybody, which is a particular
Oh,
message
Oh, thank you.
to the poets
Yeah.
that are aspiring and seem to have something, kind of different
Does
from.
that mean we're done with Larry's?
Pardon?
I said, does this mean that we're done with Larry's?
No, this is for Larry.
Okay, thank you.
This is,
I would like Larry to read the poem following the bold word fall.
Gross.
Just out loud, or you want me to read
Yes,
it?
yeah, read it
Really?
out loud for us.
Okay. Crows, 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 crows. Then the slow flap away over the hill, and the dead oak is naked. Or naked.
Now,
it's
Who's the
almost but not
author?
quite a haiku.
that is very nifty, isn't it?
Yeah.
And compare that with the full page that you just presented, which is a essay or letter or something to your. I ran into these two poems on Sunday and Monday just past, and I thought they were really nifty. And they're both selected by former American or United States Poet Laureates. Fall was selected by Ted Kooser, and then afterward it was selected by Natasha Trethway, who was from 2012 to 2014 the laureate. And that similarly is very nifty in a short. This is what we're trying to do in a poem. You create a scene and you think about it, and it's building. It's got content. It's got emotion. It's the magic of poem. That's what we mean by poem. rhyme in this one, side and divide, and what it does, it sort of connects the two images, the physical image, and so in both cases we have a physical image, and that image then carries a burden of meaning, and both emotional and cognitive meaning, and that's what we strive to do in our poems. And I just, as I say, I ran across these the last 2 days, and they're just wonderful. I think nifty little examples of what poems are in the briefest
But
presentation.
there are many different styles of poems,
Oh.
and it's also, you know, the author's discretion as to what they wish to accomplish and what are their purposes in writing. I would like to ask about this fall and to say, okay, you start out talking about crows, and then you end with the dead oak. I don't see a connection.
Where do you think the crows were before they flew away?
The crows were on the tree,
Yeah.
the dead oak.
But
I know.
I've seen it.
Thank you,
It's an-
thank
it's
you.
an
I
image.
needed to have that
You gotta
explained to
loosen
me,
up.
thank
You
you.
gotta
No, I
loosen
didn't
up.
catch that.
That slow flap away, I've never
That's
seen
a-
that before.
that's a
That-
wonderful-
that
That's a perfect description, isn't it?
That's
Exactly.
a crow, that's
Yeah.
just marvelous.
That's
It's an image. It's
Well-
just, it's like the red wheelbarrow, you know,
Mhm.
it's a simple picture, word picture.
But the first
Nothing more,
line
nothing less.
also, not only it tells what's up there, but
How many?
you hear them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're up there,
Crows,
crows,
crows, crows.
Slow
The one
flap
in
away. Boy,
afterward.
that tells it all.
Okay.
All right, yeah.
Survival. Young green praying mantis, less than 1 inch long, with antenna 3 times as long as your body, and 6 pretty legs, running all around outside the window. You want to come in out of the cold. I don't blame you. I too want to be warm. I don't know how anyone as tall as you can last more than 10 minutes. Yet when you mature, you can even devour lizards and toads.
Be devoured yourself too, and
But that's what
Coitus.
you-
Yes.
But how the baby didn't, because they usually get big.
Yeah, they're about like
they
that.
grow quite a bit. They-
Wow.
they-
Lovely.
Isn't it praying with an E?
Uh-uh. I looked it up. Because I was wondering too.
Yeah.
Maybe there's an alternate spelling, but my dictionary.
Depending on how hungry the mantis is at the moment.
If they do pray.
Yeah, that's
Well,
what
they
they got.
look
That's
like
right. That's perfect. Before they go to bed at night.
Right,
What did you say?
Oh.
Before they go to bed.
No, they're a neat bug. I've always
And they
liked them.
do eat, I mean, those praying mantis, they attack lizards and toads
Yeah,
and eat
yeah.
them.
But they're afraid of ants.
Afraid of ants.
We had one in a jar when I was a teenager. And so we would put other things in there for it to eat, and it would grab them and eat them. And it was sort of down at the, and we had a branch in there for it to run around on. And it was down close to the bottom, and we dropped an ant in there. And that thing, not the ant, the praying mantis, shot up to the top of the branch and tried its best to get out the top because it didn't want to be anywhere near that ant.
Maybe they taste bad.
I
Wow.
don't know. It didn't even
Formic
land.
acid after.
Maybe
Praying
they
mantis-
sting.
I don't know, it didn't tell
Yeah,
us.
the formic acid
Yeah.
of so many ants may be
Yeah.
what they're wary of, sure.
It'll be a little praying mantis tell them that.
Oh. Is this about your life?
Did you let him in?
I would have.
Yeah, he'll find his way.
There was one on our door yesterday too, I think. They're all trying to come in out of the
Yeah,
cold.
uh-huh. They probably go under the leaves and stuff, I don't know. Hibernate for the winter, don't
These are
they?
extras.
I don't know.
I mean, insects, they could estivate, but hibernate is, need to be down or lower at the freezing level, because they don't have as complex a liquid system as we do, as the hibernating mammals do. As far as building up fat and go, you've never seen a chubby praying mantis, have you?
I've never seen a fat one, no.
I don't know about them, but I'm glad that winter is over now. We had our 2 days of winter.
That's enough.
My aunts were all school teachers, and one of them, several of them were elementary school teachers, and one of them had, they bring in nature things for the kids. She brought in a praying mantis, whatever they call the little pod that they're in.
Cocoon.
And then over Thanksgiving, it hatched. And they came back into the classroom, and it was covered
doing-
with teeny little tiny praying mantises. And the kids were all going, shriek, shriek, shriek. Then when the janitor came and vacuumed them up, the kids were
no.
devastated.
Yeah. Well, you can buy the cocoons as a drug, as a bug prophylactic, because they're voracious as far as eating beetles and
Yeah.
stuff that eats.
But they're also, you don't want to leave them over Thanksgiving in your classroom.
Scorpions do that also. You see a scorpion walk around, it has 100 little scorpions riding on its back,
Wow.
Okay, first
well,
love.
Everybody's got mine before they. The title of mine is First Love. The prompt for the poem comes from a poem, a long ballad by John Keats called The Beautiful Woman Without Mercy, Madame Sans Merci. And the line is that I think is one of the most erotic lines in literature is, she looked at me as she did love and made sweet moan. Not a wonderful line? It's a longer poem, a rather sad poem, as some of you will remember. First love. She was my first enduring love. We fit like fingers in a glove. So with me now is that lost time. Green bliss long lingers, still sublime. We saw each other newly nude, hot faces flushed, red rosy hued. Such unabashed naivete, spurred on by curiosity. It's a French word that has the accent on it. Actually, I did put the English version in here, but curiosity is a real French word. Our jejune rapture knew no shame. We didn't blush to brashly claim that passion in our breathless words resembled lovely songs by birds. We were so young and all was fresh. We intertwined our eager flesh. Then afterwards, we lay all spent, convinced that we did sex invent.
Yeah.
It's like the John Donne's The Free.
And you even told us what kind.
It's in a rather strict format, as some of you will recognize. It's iambic tetrameter and couplets, rhyming couplets, and each line has the same da-da, 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 da-da beat, which is somewhat monotonous if you do it too much, but it's also fun to play with. It's probably the most common, something the most natural beat in poetry. Emily Dickinson uses it, Robert Frost uses it, da-da, 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 da-da. So some people say it resembles a human heartbeat, so it is very natural.
Some say that pentameter is the
Some
more
people
natural,
do,
some say, yeah.
and that's also a very common one, five beats instead of four,
Yeah.
but I like the 4 beats.
Right.
Anyway, I don't know how many of you remember your first love, or whether it's worth remembering. Sometimes they're worth better.
It wasn't always necessarily, I understand.
What was
worth
her
remembering.
name?
Oh, it's imaginary. I wasn't thinking of a particular person. I was,
Really?
as Joy said last time, it ain't me. It's just a poem. But I think everybody has a first love, don't they? Actually, you inspired this, Ruth. Yeah, one of these luncheons we went to, she said, we're a bunch of old fogies. I don't feel any heat in the poetry. There's no eroticism, no love. You said that. So I said, all right, I'm gonna put a little heat in.
Felix, is using, if they use I, it doesn't necessarily mean the poet.
That's right.
You need to get over that.
He didn't use the word I, but I think it sounds like.
Well,
you're
he
talking
used
about
we.
your wife.
he used the,
It could be, but
The
but not
first person
necessarily.
he used.
You know, I-
My first enduring love.
Well, it might be, but maybe not. I think you have to raise the possibility that it might not be the obvious thing you think it is. And in this case, I actually don't think it is what ended up being my long and successful marriage to my wife. It was actually someone that I met before that, if I had to put a figure on it, but I don't particularly. I was just trying to capture, I always share my poems with my 12-year-old granddaughter with whom we and she looked at it and threw it back to me and says, "Grandpa, I just don't get it."
That's probably
And you should
good.
say,
I left
thank
it
you.
at that.
And you should have said, thank you, I'm glad you don't.
That's right. I didn't press the issue. Your turn.
Then she went away and wondering about you.
Yeah, she might.
she went to Ellen
Mommy.
and said, what did Grandpa mean when he said
Yeah.
She might do that.
Yeah. It's good that she doesn't have the actual poem with her to show her. And then say, Dad, what did you do? Are you trying to corrupt my daughter? Time to me, time. How do we run out of time? Was there a crime? Please help with a rhyme. Where does time go? Is time able to grow? Where does time come from? Oh, will time make us numb? To me, crossroad, intersection, has a place to go either left or right. Another way is to continue going straight. To me, choices we all must make. To me, which way will we, you and I, take? To me, I am in the middle. What do you think? Will it make you fiddle? For emphasis, it concludes with me. Is it showing where there is a responsibility? And I put that or because I'm toying with or to me. I stand in the center. What do you think? Do you want a mentor? What might we achieve with the time we have? Another question, to time have we been a slave? With our time, do we account for what we've done? Will we say it is our right to have fun? Are we satisfied and happy with how we use time? In the end, will there be an end to time?
End times, huh? What was this notion of end times? Huh?
He did the universe.
No, not necessarily. Not necessarily end times. I haven't.
No, I know-
literally, I
I know
hadn't
you
even
didn't.
thought
I
about
was
that,
just-
but I like that.
I was pushing when I saw end to time. Well, there is an end to time in some people's.
I
think
don't
this
know.
is very, very timely.
I don't have time. I don't understand me when you emphasize that.
Because I'm taking the word time that has the
Breaking it
4
up.
letters, and if you notice, the I is capitalized, so it's referring to I, meaning
Yeah.
the person that's reading it, and then the me, re-emphasizing it.
If you're gonna,
I just was
but-
playing, I was just playing with the word time.
you're gonna have to use serif type,
Oh,
because with sans serif type like this, that capital
L.
I looks like an L.
ah.
The first time, when I looked at the title, I thought, what does TL mean?
Okay.
So you're gonna have to use serif type to, so the capital I will have serifs.
Okay. I can change that. And I said, now this is not a footnote. There is a line, but it says this is a work in progress. So it's not finished. Nor are the ones that I've been doing on fire. They'll reappear in the future. But and I'm not sure where I want to go with this one, but I think I don't know. I don't think it's finished, but I'm not sure
They're
where.
never finished.
They're never finished.
know.
Okay.
Even when you see it in print, you think, I should have done. So,
Okay.
I forgot.
Why,
Well, I was going to say, but apropos that, a famous poet said, I can't remember which one now, but said, a poem is never finished, it's only abandoned.
yeah. You find me that, I can't.
Sure.
Why did you not spell out please?
Oh, because I didn't want it to make the line longer than it was. And I use PLZ a lot when I write
Please.
But
text
it's-
messages
It's
and,
out of the context of everything else here.
okay.
If you used you instead of YOU, I'd probably slap you, but just because.
I use it all the time in
I
my text
hate the way
messages and
the text
emails.
message is
Yes.
creeping into other writing. It just,
Okay.
it's
Actually,
just
I could just
laziness.
cross it out and just say help with a rhyme.
Well, probably.
That would work.
Yeah. How do we run out of time? Was there a crime? It would help your rhythm also.
Yeah. Yes, that was another reason why I did that. Like I said, to make it short. A shorter line.
Well, does it even belong there? I mean, it's kind of an aside to yourself, rather than any message to the reader. The
Well, actually, that was
the
for-
reader is not
it was-
going to
it was-
volunteer.
It was for this group.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I see, so you're really asking for help there, huh?
Sure.
Help with the rhyme.
Well, time and
For
time.
the whole
Rhyme,
thing.
mime.
And I liked that it did rhyme. And I used the word rhyme. I thought that was fun.
Well, the thing, the ors that you have in the third stanza, I would abandon them. I
Oh, no. That's not part of the poem.
I know,
I-
but
I-
it's, we use that or the other.
Yes.
And that's why I'm
Yes.
saying, abandon those, stick with what you've got.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
We all do that, you know.
Yeah, for
I
one-
guess we all do that from time to time. Put down an alternate, and then we choose which one
Yeah.
it's going to be.
And that's what I was
But in
doing. I
this
was
case-
asking which
Yeah.
one you
But
thought was better.
you've got true rhymes, and so middle and fiddle rhyme,
Yeah.
but center and mentor do not.
Yeah, then you could say mentor.
Just abandon.
But we
them.
shouldn't.
Yeah.
I just like the word mentor.
Well,
But that's why it has the,
yeah, and so
The,
it's,
you
the
know,
question is, do I do this or do I don't? And I'm
Right.
saying, do it, don't do it. Other than that,
thank you for the suggestions.
but I do.
I'll have to find a
Yeah.
different font.
Yeah, I really think that you're gonna have to do a serif font, because you need those little ears on the eye.
I didn't do many because I was told by my mother that when people signed up to be attending today, so I took her word as truth and
Your mother is alive?
yeah, 91 last
Wow.
first Friday, Saturday.
Do you have one more? 'Cause it looks like there's one short over
We can
there.
share. It's a short poem.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
really?
it's sort of attempted haiku, but I was, again, modern politics. Pusillanimous Congress talked pleasantly Hubert, contesting entropy.
All right.
Wow.
You're
The
making-
title is Modern Politics?
Yes.
Okay, so that's not one of the lines.
No, just.
So you need to.
I know.
Oh, I see.
Some
Yeah,
space in
okay,
there.
that makes more
Okay.
sense, yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
But you're making Sten's point for us even more emphatically, that brevity is the soul of verse.
How do you say that? Please?
Pusillanimous means cowardly.
No, I know,
No,
the next one.
Pleasantly, powerfully,
Puissantly.
strongly,
Recently.
Recently.
Means what?
strong.
Strong, okay.
Nice. Very compact, and it's got meaning.
And, well, the community doesn't like it when an adjective, I make nouns and adjectives out of my words. I don't know, I say the hell with it. Hubert's not a word, but, yeah, I've seen it spelled as
It's a
Hubert.
cross between rubric and hubris.
Yeah, sort of,
Yeah,
yeah.
so, I mean, you know, we all make up words like that.
Yeah, and-
I like this
and-
combination of
And it's enough, yeah,
rubric and hubris.
It's not, it really describes it.
Well, yeah, and
Rubric and hubris.
and,
I don't know Puissantly.
Presence is strength, strong, powerful.
Who was it? Wasn't it some king that called himself the puissant something or the other?
Well, after my accident, it was I forget his name, Greek gods in literature. And he had one poem by someone who was modern, and one poem talking about Kennedy and the precinct, Kennebunkport precincts.
Okay.
And it's a nice word.
Kennebunkport?
No.
I always like Kennebunkport.
But you can't make quite many uses of Kennebunkport as you can of presence and puissance and pusillanimous.
Well, I really like tossing in words. I'm not sure that I necessarily want to make the whole poem full of words like that.
Well, the people you're talking about would never understand.
No.
Yeah, that's true, they wouldn't know the big words, so.
Oh, gosh. Especially Trump.
Yeah.
But if you unpack the meaning, it's really a very clever,
I
concise, boiled down, distilled message.
It's not
nice.
quite pure haiku, but real haiku is hard to do when you're going to describe stuff.
A little couplet of itself. Real haiku is hard to do.
Well, and to write briefly and concisely is sometimes more difficult than writing
Oh,
with
yeah,
verbosity.
right.
With, if you use 1,000,000 words, sometimes it's better to use 3 words. than
Well, thank
2
you very
words.
much.
1 word.
I was at a workshop where they're talking about haikus, and someone said, writing a poem, haikus are, I forget exactly how he did it, the haikus are a problem. Writing a poem is hard if you only have 17 syllables.
That's good. Fourth bit there,
Yeah.
shoehorn.
What?
I thought it was a kind of a forced fit. This is
like a shoehorn?
I'd like a shoehorn, is what I was.
Or Tom Lehrer is writing about modern music, very particular syllables into the line. And the first, the line before that was very short. And
I wondered if they were contesting entropy or contributing to
Yeah.
entropy at
Well,
times.
it's
but,
just that I mentioned
yeah,
they're both-
either one works.
things fall apart. No Chevy. Didn't he just die? I think so.
All right.
Pass them on, only one isn't gonna work.
You get a bunch.
This poem was in response to the photograph and poem that you had sent around about the lynching.
Strange fruit.
Strange fruit, yeah. The shoeshine boys, just the feet dangled, those black tired feet. A white arm pointed up. Oh yes, there was more to see. But the picture got cropped so viewers wouldn't flee. What nasty work was hanging from that old maple tree. Bitter fruit, indeed. Not so the white folk who saw it all. They made like a wild summer party. 2 black shoeshine boys beaten to death, then lynched. Heck, that mob was having a right nasty ball. They almost had a 3rd teen. At the last he was saved by a clear-voiced call. The crowd wanted blood. Justice required too much law. True, a white man had been killed, and they thought his girl raped. Yes, one may have done it, a robbery gone awry. No one knows for certain which, and the accused, now dead, can't talk. But the picture doesn't lie. It's a portrait of a people as ugly as one could try. So I don't normally go in for the rhyming at all, but somehow this time I wanted to try to do some of that, and each stanza is different, so there's no methodology to it. And there was a lot more I could have said about this, but the interesting thing was that it was the first time I ever learned those two fellows' names, Thomas Shipp and Abram Smith. Shipp was 18 years old and Abram Smith was 19 years old. And the one who got away, James Cameron, was only 16 because somebody called out in the crowd that he didn't do it. He had nothing to do with it. And it was true. He described the incident in his book that he wrote later, and he got very involved in civil rights. And it was about the three boys, the Shoeshine boys, all finding this young white guy and his girlfriend. And James Cameron, the one who got away, was told to rob the white boy, but he used to shine his shoes, and he knew he was a decent guy, and he didn't want to do it, so he left the scene.
Wow.
And then he heard, as he went away, he heard some shots, and he figured one of them did it, but he never wanted to go back to see who had done what. And of course, the crowd found them, as time would have it. And but it's that frontier justice kind of thing. James Cameron always thought it was the Virgin Mary who called out into that wild crowd that had already, murdered two black men and hung them up to die on the tree. Well, they were already dead before they were hung up.
Being beaten to death is scarcely better than being hung. Your hung properly is pretty good. It's pretty swift, but being beaten to death it takes a long time.
Yeah, that does.
What prompted you to get into the mood to write this poem now?
Well,
I saw the exchange with, that's what I was going to ask next, that Spen and Joyce sat around about Strange Fruit, which is a famous poem, of course, about a lynching.
Because of all the black murders that have happened recently, I mean, we haven't really progressed much.
No. What's happening over in Israel right now, in Egypt, Israel and Palestine.
Right, but specifically the race issue here
Yeah.
in our United States, that's what is still actively happening.
Perpetrating.
Yeah, and it's, policemen think nothing of killing a young black man, asking questions later.
I don't think you can make a flat statement, but they think nothing of doing it. I think
That
there are
would
a
be
lot
more
of
than it used
policemen
to.
who go out of their way not to do that, and some who do kill them, they regret it the rest of their lives. I think making a flat statement like that
That
is...
is a very lovely thought, and you're entitled to it. But I think a lot of them do it absolutely without thinking.
If you say some policemen, I'll accept that. But make the flat statement of policemen do so-and-so, I find unacceptable.
I thought I said so.
Well, I think the police issue is ignoring, it's a big whitewash of what's going on because the policemen are all coming from our society and they are backed by the sentiments in our society. And so as Coates says, I mean, we don't all have those feelings, but it's all of society that is supporting those policemen who feel they are carrying out something justifiable, just as these people felt they were somehow justified in lynching those people.
Right.
Well, it's a
That's what I feel.
Terrible image, really haunting, isn't it? Think of people swinging from a tree and...
See, when we spend this time talking about the police and wearing body cameras and all that stuff, that is diversion. That is whitewash. This is the society not dealing with the issue that really exists. That this attitude exists in our society and is found out of the police department, much more than it's found in the police department. But the police are coming from that very society.
It's interesting you call it whitewash.
Okay, okay, no pun intended, but yeah, it is certainly the business of defending our exceptionalism, our glory as somehow being born white when like my poem the other couple of weeks, I wish I had, sometimes. Anyway.
We'll all be beige someday.
Beige,
Yeah.
beige.
Because they're intermediate.
Yeah.
Well, again, I wonder, Coates in his book, he sort of gets I don't know if that'll ever happen, will that ever happen? And there's a study of black attitudes by whites that goes back to the very beginnings of history. There's been that kind of rejection of dark-skinned people in every culture, almost every culture from the very beginning. There's a book written by a historian called White Over Black, and it depicts this history. It's a pretty grim situation.
Well, that, after Sven sent that picture around, I said that I had most typically seen that photograph cropped, so that only the dangling feet were visible. You knew what had happened, but you knew nothing about the background of it, or what who these boys were, or their names, or anything. So I started to read up on it a little bit, and I listened to all the songs, Strange Fruit, Billie Holiday and Nina Simone and a number of other people on a website, in an NPR website, had taken that song and adapted it in different kinds of ways, but kept the words pretty much the same. So I really got into this. And then I found out these boys were shoeshine boys. I mean, they were just kids. And it's true, they were up to some bad work, robbing a white boy. And how does it go from a robbery to a murder? I don't know exactly, but there must have, I can only imagine, some tremendous pent-up rage.
Well, you also think of To Kill a Mockingbird with the daughter, the girl that was supposedly accosted by
Right.
I forget the name of the
Jim.
Jim, and in reality, probably it was her dad that beat the crap out of her and or raped her.
Right.
And of course, that goes back to the taboo subject of incest. And it just...
Right. And in this case, the girl had not been raped.
No, but
turns out.
it's still
Yeah, but
there.
I see your
It's
point,
still-
yeah.
Oh yeah, it's a strong feeling in the South, like Joy's story about she grew up raised by her grandmother to a large degree, and her grandmother, every night before she went to bed, she checked under her bed because she was sure there was a black guy under there who was going to rape her.
Wow. The grandmother thought that.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So such was the fear.
Yeah, and of course, the white men were fearful that the black guys were too strong or too virile, and so on. And so in their defensiveness, they adopted these attitudes.
Well, sort of like the viewpoint of the British when we first were over there before D-Day, and that they were oversexed monsters amongst our young women.
Okay, Sven, you want to get me, because we don't... My memory is me. I'm not what you see at 83. I'm so much more, almost filled to the top, with a little room to grow. The touch of velvet is still alive in me.
the fig tree and the good hard red clay. Grandmother's soft lap and the fragrance of the land after the rainfall. And oh my, the comfortable settling of coal in the grate and the dark. Childhood fills one big toe. Yet, as you see, I could go on and on until one of us fell asleep.
October currents. Dueling bullies. Imagine a duel between Putin and Trump. Then picture how you'll out of the way jump. A Trump and a Putin will lead to much shooting. How many will wind up in a Syrian dump? Or then there's asparagus. They're serving asparagus, alas. Although some term it aspergrass, those little green spears are not intoxicating like beers, and you smell it when your urine you pass. Or the evening prayer. I paused there on bended knee, having just got up for another pee. The moment was right, no better time that night. I prayed Viagra was in the drawer for me. Or finally, tea bags, big mouth, small brain, yet they think they ought to reign. Not only don't they feel our pain to them is their hoped for gain.
Wait a minute.
Tea party people, right?
Oh,
And on the reverse, okay. So anyway, I had a good time with these things
Yes,
over the course of the month.
you could tell that.
The occurrence of the month. And that brought us down to something that we've been referring to off and on this morning, sex, politics, religion, and poetry. What do poets write? Do they know love, give love, receive love? Is the self a deeply rattled mystery? The dawn comes each morning, the mysterious silver moon each night. The seasons come and go, sometimes early, sometimes late. The new growth and the falling leaves repeat in a pattern of wonder. New life brings amazing growth, aging brings slowing, weakening, crumbling. The sun sets at the end of each day, sometimes dimmed by clouds in the way. Sex brings changes to human social life. Politics sets the tasks and confusion of the day, and death to many. Religion, in hundreds of flavors, goes on, craving power and wealth, and the faithful following of the Mass. Poetry delights in the workings of the natural world. New and old delights are celebrated. Wounds and decline are bemoaned. But it's politics and religion that trip us up and keep conflict raging. Poetry can celebrate or abhor them, but cannot ignore them. Some people think that politics has no place in poetry, and other people think that if poetry doesn't deal with politics, it's worthless.
This is kind of a lot.
Very nice. Yeah.
That makes the rounds for the day.
Yeah, zip right through. Thank you.
Very nice.
I saw on the news the other day that Kim Davis, the county clerk of whatever it is, what is the county in Kentucky? Anyway, she's going to be picketed by that Methodist church group that goes around and pickets funerals.
They're the same cloth.
Pardon?
They come from the same cloth.
They don't think so. They think that she's a hypocrite and doing terrible things to religion. Takes one to know one.
I'm totally lost. I'm just totally.
Well, I am too.
I'm trying to find a sea change and I can't.
Well, my grandmother used to say, when you point your finger at somebody, 3 fingers point back at yourself. And I think that's happening with these
Idiots.
Methodist, whatever, I can't even, Westboro Methodist
Yeah.
Church, is that it?
Yeah.
Something like that.
That it, and, you know, they say it takes one to know one and all that, all those truisms. It's just a little factoid I thought I'd throw out for your
It's
titillation.
disturbing.
That's interesting too, with the Shoeshine Boys and the youth and the current news about the Palestinians and the kids, teenagers, sometimes pretty young teenagers, going around with knives, kniving people, you know, and this creates great international turmoil. And all the nations of the world are aroused by this, by the actions of some teenagers. Yeah, it's,
Where do they get it?
yeah, I mean, it's passed down to them. I mean, they are the new consumers of the culture that is being developed. And so, you know, is the culture getting worse, making more?
Well, knifing is such a visceral attack. I mean, with a gun, you really don't see much gore and guts unless you hit bare skin. Whereas a knife is up close and very personal.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just,
Well, it's interesting that in this latest turmoil, there have been like 16 Israelis killed and 41 Palestinians, the difference between knives and guns.
Sure.
and one kid was shot because he looked Palestinian and he was in that group of people when that one guy started shooting everyone else, and he was shot not accidentally, but accidentally and killed accidentally because they thought he was one of the group of attackers. And he was a real young kid. I mean, just
Was he a Palestinian?
he was, yeah, he looked that way too, I guess.
Oh, yeah, because it's basically a racist thing, you know, most, I think it's not, you've got, they're all Semites basically, but it's the same kind of thing that you give people a title and then that sort of gives you the.
Damns them for
Yeah.
for life. Yeah.
Well, that's what happens with organized religion. Whether it's organized by hair color or whatever, people in various groups pick at one another.
Us and them.
And once there's a group, there's hate formed for non-group members.
Father used to say, and this was, anyway, he said, it's got this church on this corner. You've got a church on that corner. In this church, the preacher says, there ain't no hell. And the preacher over here says, the hell there ain't. And he's, sort of the way it happens.
When Francis was here a month ago, I was really impressed by all the positive PR that came out of that.
When who was here?
Pope Francis.
Oh,
Frank, maybe.
not here in Athens.
Well, he might have been, just was very, very
Well, no,
quiet
but
about it.
When you said here, I was thinking in Athens, and that's why I couldn't figure out who you had said. Well, it was interesting, speaking of Kim Brown again, where they made this big deal about her having a meeting with Pope Francis, and it turned out that she was one
No crowd.
of, 50 people in a crowd, and he didn't have any direct contact with her.
But they made something up to make her singled out and elevated.
Yeah, and that's the thing, you fabricate these stories and then you get caught in them, and you look worse
Really
than you would
stupid,
have.
The glory hound.
Well, speaking of Pope Francis, I recently had two friends, two women friends marry. they've been committed to each other for the last 38 years. And the mother of one of the women said she just didn't get it. She just didn't understand why they should marry or get married or be married. And, but she loved her daughter very much. And she was paying attention to all the coverage that, and press that Pope Francis was getting. And she finally called her daughter back and said, "Who am I to judge?"
Mm-hmm.
Just like Francis said, "Who am I to judge?" And so she gave her approval of the marriage at that point. And I thought, if we could multiply that one incident, it was very healing in that family, by 1 million or more people around the world who are hearing this man act in a good and just way. And I know he's not perfect and not everybody thinks that his thinking lines up with theirs, but he could be called a healing person.
I think he's pretty special. Maybe not, I think he's along the line of John the 23rd, just that he is trying to fix Rome with less of a despotic, not to that's a view of it, of a despotic hegemony of saving and damning.
Yeah.
And
They're afraid there are people in Italy who might want him dead.
yeah, well, that's I was just talking with at this meeting I had about Laudato Si, that considering that supposedly John Paul I was assassinated for, I'm not sure for what reason, why he was offed, supposedly. You never heard that before?
The very
First
first
John Paul
first
in
really?
the late 70s, and yeah. And I never understood why he was considered as a liberal heretic and a danger to the established clergy, but I mean, some people felt that some of the liberals in America thought that he had been treading on thin tooth and advice, and someone had given him whatever, something to affect his heart. And it's just a bunch of bullshit. I said, I
It's one
hope,
of those conspiracy
Yes.
theories, and
they're asinine, and
I just think people should have, if they don't have anything else to do with their time, we could put them to work fixing the roads.
okay, crocheting or something.
I wouldn't put that beyond the realm of probability, especially coming from a society that created the Borgias, but, well,
Well, the society that created the Inquisition.
yeah, everything, yeah. So,
It's my way or the stake.
the point is, it's